Thank you for taking the time. How's your day going aside from doing press where they ask you the same questions over and over again?
Oh, it's all good, man. My day's good. Just got in the gym, did a little workout, had a little conference call. Now I'm here with you, my man. And I got my I got the good boy right here too.
The good boy. Well, you
Good boy.
are a distinct individual in that you have news on top of the news because the press release that's coming out tomorrow. Well, earlier today, I got the thing about you and Ivan Neville's album.
Oh yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep. I'm on a song on his record. Yep.
His first solo album in 19 or 20 years. When did you actually track that, and how long did you have to keep it a secret?
Man, I think that was probably 2019.
Mm.
Or it doesn't feel I don't think it was not during any of the pandemic years or anything like that. It was like 2019, 2018, I would say. But yeah, that was really special. I was really I was honored that he would include me. That's pretty cool.
Without naming names, has that happened in other cases where you recorded something as a collaboration with another artist, and then 3, 4 years later it comes out and you go, "Oh yeah, I did that."
No, not exactly like that. But there are instances where my vocal is kind of like sneakily in on some songs that I've written and like not performed. Like, but I'm still in there a little bit.
The Adam Duritz approach to music making.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yep.
cool. So over to you and the Revivalists. I mean, big touring coming up. The music videos. Every time one comes out, it goes viral and all that.
Oh man.
I mean, leading up to all that, did you take any time off?
Take any time off, like in between this album and the next album, or?
I'll put you this way. Sometimes an artist will finish the album in November. It's going to come out in May. They do all the press in December and January, and then they go, do not release this. Release this the week of the album. And then they take a couple of months off, knowing that the next 6 to 9 months are going to be the album cycle and the tour cycle.
Yeah, well, we finished the album last year in February. Basically, I mean, well, we recorded the album, I would say, and then we kind of spent the past year kind of putting the finishing touches on it here in New Orleans. And we haven't been doing too much touring, so I would say we've been on a bit of a break as of late. But yeah, as you know, it's about to, we're about to ramp up big time here in May and June and July, September. Go time, festival season. Summer, let's go.
When you're doing your off time, do you do it in New Orleans?
For the most part, yeah. I do vacation a little bit here and there. Like I just took a trip to Aspen to go snowboarding for the first time. I picked it up pretty quickly, actually, I must say. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for that one. Because I got a lot of people going, man, you are gonna break your ass, like it's going to be a week before you're out there even, trying to get around. But it took me about a day to get my snow feet and I was off. But yeah, no, I spend most of my time here in New Orleans, most of the downtime. It's a great place to, I mean, it's a lot of people's vacation, so it's like to live here.
That's a very curious thing to me. I live in a beach town where a lot of people come for the day. And most people don't realize with destinations like New Orleans, which is a vacation destination, you can live there. It's affordable if you look in the right places.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Where do you stay? If that's okay for me asking.
Oh, I live in Long Beach, Long Island, New York. It's this beach town where Joe lives and members of Taking Back Sunday live, and you see them on the boardwalk and you say hi and I won't bother you.
Oh man, you just brought me back. Taking Back Sunday, bro. Whoa.
Well, I actually didn't know that about your musical heritage because I always got the classic rock stuff. So I imagine opening for the Stones would have been just this big deal. I knew the funk stuff, hence the Ivan Neville. I wouldn't have pictured you ever being an emo pop punk person.
I had a big phase in that.
Oh, really?
I mean, I came up through, like my first band was a we wanted to be like the Casualties or the Exploited. Like that
Really?
was where I kind of came from, like the Subhumans. Like that was my stuff when I was growing up. Yeah. Um,
Wow. Okay. You
yeah.
evolved, to say the least.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully those recordings, you can put them out when you're like 50 or 60, like baby
there's,
photos.
there's one out there. There is one out there that you can find. Oh my God. It's pretty hilarious too, I gotta say.
I can imagine. So, hey, back to the Revivalists. And as we talked about, very busy future. And on top of that, the Rev Cares organization that you and your bandmates have going does a lot of good in the world. How much time does the Rev Cares take up for you versus the music?
Well, Rev Causes is something that's really near and dear to us. You know, we randomly do things for it. It's basically a philanthropic arm for us to, help these various organizations that that are near and dear to us. At this point, we basically take $1 from each person, that buys a ticket, and it goes to Rev Causes. So we've raised quite a bit of money doing
Right.
that. That's pretty much the way that we do it now. We've definitely done some things with Songs for Kids, which is an organization that's really doing some great work. We love Josh over there, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's really special. So yeah, we want to shine a light on some of the things that need to be seen and people need to know about.
I think the Songs for Kids is the organization that David Lee Roth did a song for. I might be wrong about that. For
It's
kids,
possible. I mean, they definitely get huge artists for sure.
but hey, I keep detouring and not talking about how great the Revivalists are and what's coming up for the band. So,
I mean, I think it's okay. I think it's all good. I think a
well,
conversation is that's where we're at.
so the album before this one had AAA hits like this one. Were you able to use that success and make this album entirely on your own, or did you have a little bit of record label going, do another song like this?
You know, honestly, for our entire career, the label hasn't ever really been too heavy-handed on the creative, really at all. There was a time back in the day where, we turned in an album and they were like, we don't hear a single, and so we went back in, but it wasn't ever like, make a song like this or make it do this or do that. I think I think they believe in us, and they know that we know who we are, and we just make the music that we make. And I think it's nice to have a partner like that, because it's not always like that. So
Doing 5 studio albums in 5 years, is that an organic approach, or is that just somebody going, hey, album tour, album tour, album tour? Because let's face it, most artists can't write 10 great songs in 2 years, let alone 1 year and 12 to 15, which you usually do.
Well, we've only put out 5 studio albums in 15 years. It's only been.
Why did I think that you did a 5 and 5?
That would be wild. Honestly,
It's your first in 5 years. You know what? My dyslexia took over.
Okay.
Okay,
It's okay.
So the 5 and 5 years, I'm going to leave that mistake in there.
That's okay. I was gonna say shit. Honestly, this is the thing.
If we count, let's pause that. If we count your solo album, okay, there's 2.
There's 2.
Was there a live album?
There was we did some things at Muscle Shoals, but it was reimagined songs. It was just reimagining of songs.
Okay, 3.
So,
okay, we're counting that.
We weren't really writing anything for those per se. It definitely was a great time in the studio, but we're close. We're close. It's a little fib.
We can create it that you're one of the most prolific bands on the planet, and that I know everything about the most prolific band on the planet.
I will tell you. I mean, we, for this album and for pretty much every album, we sift through 60 to 100 songs. And that's not to say those songs won't at some point end up on a future album. It's just like kind of picked out, you know, the songs that are kind of the most timely and the ones that feel like this is a cohesive bunch.
So I had read that, and this one I'm sure about. This is not a mistake. That with your solo album, that sometimes you write a song and you go, "This is not a Revivalist song. This is a solo album song." The batch of the 60 to 100 on this latest album, do some of those have you thinking there is a David album coming?
I haven't decided exactly what I want to do about that next. I would say, I don't know. I don't want to like put myself into a box, but I would say that I think I might want to do something that's a little more acoustic oriented for my next project. I've never really done. I've done shows like that, you know, and that's how I write, you know. So it would only make sense, you know, to do that. I've always just kind of wanted to build the songs up because it's really exciting for me. But I do think there's something that's really raw and authentic about just going into the studio and making, you know, something and just letting the wood speak, you know.
Do you have a home studio setup?
I do, and it's all wood. It's all wood. So I'll probably record some of it there.
Got it. I find that most stars have that home studio setup, but don't have the ability to track drums in that. In other words, they do everything but the drums in the final mix there. What's that like for you? Can you do everything in your home studio?
You know, I've never done drums. It's more of like a writing studio, I would say. I usually just kind of like play the drums basically, you know.
Okay.
And I have some, you know, really great sample packs that just sound amazing. And then we go into the studio and we cut them. But even the demos, you're like, oh my God, that could put that out, but real drums are the way to go, you know? So yeah, I haven't tracked real drums in my studio yet. I think my neighbors might have an issue with that, but it is New Orleans, so I might get away with it. You get away with a lot more here than you would anywhere else, I feel like, for sure.
That might be a lyric for you to stash away for another time, but down to the last 3 questions before I let you go. The first one is, when I go down the list of what the Revivalists have accomplished beyond the philanthropic stuff in terms of the bands that you've opened for, the bands that you've headlined over for, the chart singles, the commercial and the critical, all that kind of stuff, is there anything that you're still hoping to do that you haven't done yet besides moving forward?
I'd love to do a collab with, you know, some, you know, huge artists like, I don't know, Stevie Nicks or, you know, Joni Mitchell or something like that. I think that would be cool.
Your own Supernatural Carlos Santana duets album style, or just good one-offs?
I think just, I mean, I would be happy with just, you know, a song, you know. I mean, I would do an album of duets with different people. That sounds amazing. That would be great. We might have just spoke that into potential existence.
Hey, the Santana one revitalized his career. Not that you need the revitalization. The duets album, it goes from amazing to terrible. I don't want to name names, but look up the Blues Traveler duets album. That's all I got to say. Great band, but they were kind of like, do you want to collaborate? Yes. Okay. Enjoy the
All right. I'm going to check it out.
Question number 2. You mentioned before about the Casualties, and some cool punk rock bands that I did not know were influences on you were part of that early David. What was the band that took you out of that and into this more accessible creation that we Revivalist fans know and like?
I think it was my introduction to Bill Withers.
Really?
Yeah. I was thinking about that, and Leonard Cohen. My aunt introduced me to Leonard Cohen when I was in college. And I think that had a huge impact on my songwriting. Because it kind of came at the right time, I feel like. And then when I moved to New Orleans, like I wasn't super familiar with Bill's work, and Zach, our guitar player, he like made me this data disc, or this like thumb drive of like 600 different songs. And there was a live at Carnegie Hall, Bill Withers concert on there. And that was something that I really, really gravitated towards. And I just love I love the pedestrian nature to the sound of his voice and to the lyrics. It was really just kind of like a big thing for me. Oh, and I have to mention Citizen Cope. Huge impact.
Clarence. Wow, he is a talent. Now,
Clarence,
the first two
big
people
talent.
that you mentioned, Leonard Cohen, piano player, Bill Withers, sometimes guitar, sometimes piano. Did it change in terms of how you were writing your songs?
No, not necessarily, because I don't think I had my voice at all yet. I think I was just being influenced by these artists in a pretty profound way, unknowingly, honestly. And so it just kind of all got in there. I mean, I don't want to sound cliche, but also Bob Dylan. And there's a pretty good story about how that all came to be. Yeah, I lent this guy my car in college, and because I had a big Suburban, and he uses the car, moves all of his stuff. I get the car back, and there's a CD player. There's a CD that's in the disc player, and it's Bob Dylan's first disc. Obviously, I knew about Bob Dylan, but I hadn't really ever listened to him because I was very much into different kind of music. But that disc didn't my CD player for 6 months. I got obsessed with it. So it was all these things that were just coming to me that I wasn't necessarily even seeking, you know? I don't know.
Accidental car loan. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy.
And the last question I have for you, it's not meant to be a sad thing. It's more of a celebratory thing. One of my favorite things that the Revivalists did was bringing up Bob Saget to do My Generation. And when that was being discussed, did somebody in the band know about the Full House connection of Bob Saget performing My Generation on an episode of Full House for the telethon episode?
Yes.
Okay.
That was all a part of it. We were like, okay, we do this song. Bob Saget's going to be in the same place. This needs to happen. We have to make this happen. And he was game for it. John Stamos actually wanted to come on stage and play some percussion. We didn't even know about it. He was just over on the side, like waiting to come on stage, and I didn't even know. Yeah, it was just like, but yeah.
That's
Bob.
incredible. I mean, the other way that you can go with My Generation is Green Day's second album had a terrible My Generation cover on it. So that in the future, if you're on a festival, you ask Trey Cool to come on stage.
Let's go. Let's go.
Well, the
Sounds
bottom
great.
line, David, great music, so many years. Thank you for that. Looking forward to the touring to come with Band of Horses and all that. But thank you for being you, and thank you for your honesty and all that. And wonderful to see all the great things that you're putting out into the world through your charitable organization.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you saying that, and thank you for your time today, brother.
Paltrocast.